Well, I feel like we never stop practicing because we've been in Russia. We've been training for all summer for stuff like that, and then preseason we get to get some hours in here. But to officially start and know we're like 30 days away from wrestling North Dakota, it's exciting.
Can you tell us a little bit about your team? What you expect from the guys this year, back in the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean it's where we were a young team last year, so everybody's back. So we really didn't graduate anybody that was starting, everybody that was at the Nationals, all 10 guys are back. Plus we have some really good guys fighting for spots right behind them. So this team is focused on what they want to accomplish in their goal, and that's pretty high up there, what they want to do.
You've had lots of talent over the years on certain teams, but it seems like this one's got a lot with a lot of returning guys with the COVID year. And
yeah.
Can you speak to the talent that you guys have?
It's a very talented team, but now there's a lot of things that go into how they continue to practice, how they continue to grow, how they approach practice every day. Are they going to get better? Or are they going to say, last year we were pretty good, so we'll be good again? It doesn't happen that way. There's plenty of good guys out there throughout the country. There's lots of good teams. So I think the thing I like about this team is the way they push each other. After a practice, they stick around and they work on things. They don't want to get out of here right away. And that's a sign of a team that has that growth mentality. And that's what makes this team fun. They are talented, but they also work really hard.
Does Brock have a bitter taste in his mouth after what happened? I know he came back and got fifth and All-American, but I know his goal was to win the whole thing.
Yes, his goal is to be a national champ, and that's what he's working for. So, Brock comes in. He's a consistent. The way he trains, the way he does things, he does it right. And sometimes there has to be a guy that wins and loses, and they're tight matches, but he'll be back. I know that. He was back in the room the next week working and getting after it, and he's going to be better.
Have you seen anything extra from Keegan and Rock? Maybe extra confident? Those are both confident guys, but after winning the Junior Worlds, I assume that they feel like they're invincible, probably.
Yeah, Rocky and Keegan are special, but what makes them special is the way they train and want to get better. And I almost have to throw them out of the room sometimes because they want to almost overtrain. And that's when you have to pull the reins on guys, it's awesome. And these guys, they are so driven to be national champs and want to be world champs, Olympic champs, that they do it the right way. And of course that permeates throughout the room, that other guys want to be like that too and follow what they're doing. So it makes us a better team having young men like that. It's definitely going to be a special team with that type of leadership.
Do you feel any difference in the Big 12 versus, is there anything to it, that you're back in the Big 12, or are we just making a big deal out of it?
It's exciting that our fans are, the way we're selling more tickets, and I walk around the community, and every day, I think in the last few weeks, somebody has come up to me and said, man, Coach, it's wrestling season. We're so excited that it's coming up. We're going to come to the matches. I've never gotten that feeling when we're going into a season where the community actually knows something big's about to happen, and that's great. If they feel that way with the Big 12, for us it's just who's going to be our opponent. I know we have to break down some different teams of film, but we wrestled 8 Big 10 schools last year. We'll have 10 on the schedule this year. It does change the tournament where we qualify. It's going to be a much tougher tournament, and but with that, this team is they've been kind of trained and raised that way. This is what's going to happen. They're ready for competition. We have some unbelievable great duels, but I'm focused on North Dakota State.
And then just with conference realignment, is the Big 12 still, do you feel like in good footing with wrestling?
From what they tell me, they are. I mean, they just picked up 4 really, really good teams. One of the football teams they just picked up could be in the playoffs. So I look at it that way. I just wish like Brigham Young had wrestling, UCF had wrestling. I wish they'd bring it back. The SEC has 2 teams now, but I wish some of these colleges would see the growth and what's happening, especially now with Iowa picking up women's wrestling, and you're just seeing the growth of the sport at, men and women, that I wish some universities would see that and say, man, we should have this sport. At Mizzou, we do pretty good at this, and we're not even in the SEC, but there's a culture in the state of Missouri and other states that I come from Florida where they don't have a Division I program. And I had to leave the state, but there's unbelievable kids that wrestle in that state, and I think it's unfair that there's other sports offered, and wrestling's one of our oldest and greatest, that it should be offered.
You mentioned women's wrestling there. Is that something you kind of might be pushing for to be brought to Mizzou, or anything you're thinking about?
I don't think you have to push for it. It's already here. You know, I've seen the growth at our camps. I've seen the growth in the state of Missouri. I've mentioned it to the administration. Hey, if you need to start a program, the easiest, we already have wrestling rooms. We already have locker rooms downstairs not being used. So we have the facilities that it would be, and in the state of Missouri, one of the fastest growing sports is girls wrestling. And I've just watched it, and they didn't expect it to grow this quick, but it's overwhelming how fast it's grown. So it's, if that ever becomes a topic, it's definitely, I've already pushed for it. I'm always going to push for it because I think it helps our sport having a men's and women's program.
And then you talked a little bit about the Big 12, obviously, first year back. Has that done anything for you guys in terms of recruitment at all?
We've been recruiting at this level. I think the perception of our recruits now has changed that, so you are wrestling all these teams, even though we did. But the conference tournament, we had to get all new uniforms, so we have the Big 12 logo on the back. So that was probably the biggest change, all new uniforms and warm-ups. But yes, probably not with us as coaches, but with the perception of a recruit that we're in the Big 12 conference, which is one of the historic great conferences in the country. So that's probably where it's at.